Okay, this is the Samuel Simon Schmucker house. This house was built in 1833, and it was the president's house here at the Lutheran Seminary. It was the home of Professor Samuel Simon Schmucker. Runaway slaves actually received aid and shelter in a nearby barn to this house before they continued on their journey further north. Schmucker wrote and preached against slavery. He wrote, "God as one blood created all nations to dwell on the face of the earth. He has endowed them with all certain inalienable rights and obligations, such as life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. All who fail to labor for the extinction of slavery are guilty of sin." Now, when Confederate troops marched toward Pennsylvania in June of 1863, Schmucker learned that the approaching rebels had planned to arrest him. He suspended his classes and he fled to York, Pennsylvania. Now, upon returning to his home after the battle, he received some bad news and some shock. "The house that I occupy," he wrote, "was most damaged. 13 cannonballs or shells pierced the walls, and everything in my house broken up by the rebels and contents scattered promiscuously with my books, papers, letters, etc." Now, one Confederate soldier actually retrieved Schmucker's Holy Bible from a pile of debris and then actually placed it upon his bookcase, having written J.G. Bearden of the Real Army. This is the Holy Bible I pick of and is placed on case again. And he wrote that inside the cover of the Bible. Now, there is evidence that remains here. There is an artillery shell that is still embedded in the side of the house here. And as you walk up here toward the porch, you'll see the artillery shell right there in the center of our camera. Also, this house does have a Civil War building plaque here on the side, and it sat here near the Lutheran Seminary. Now, one of the other questions I get is on my videos that are concerning witness trees. And there are a lot of witness trees in Gettysburg, but the tree across the street from the Schmucker house, right there in the center of the camera, is actually the oldest tree in Gettysburg. It's a large oak. It's from the year 1680, so it's well over 400 years old. And that is the oldest tree in Gettysburg. This has been the Schmucker Hall and the witness tree. The surviving witness tree on Culp's Hill. And I'm standing here today at Culp's Hill. In the distance, you can see the monument to the 149th New York Volunteers. And as I turn here this way, I can show you the left flank marker. And this is going to be a key to finding the witness tree at Culp's Hill. If you start here at the left flank marker of the 149th Pennsylvania and walk straight down into the woods, we'll walk about, I'd say, 30 yards before we come to the witness tree. Now, this witness tree, a photograph was taken not too long after the battle, and the photograph was nicknamed Battle Scarred Veteran. And then the story behind it is that it survived the Battle of Gettysburg, though it was hit with several artillery shells. When someone finally did find this tree, in the early 1900s, there was an attempt to repair the battle damage using chicken wire and cement. And actually, that is not good for a tree. As the cold weather gets to it, it expands, and the tree can crack even further. And if you look here today, here's the tree. The split in the tree is where the artillery shells had hit it. And if you look closely enough inside of it, you can still see some of the chicken wire and the cement in the middle. This is the only witness tree left on Culp's Hill that was a witness to the Battle of Gettysburg. And this tree is probably about 175 years old. Again, right here in the center, you can see remnants of the chicken wire. And then as we get closer, You can actually see the repair work and the cement inside. Again, this has been the God Tree, or also known as the battle-scarred veteran of Culp's Hill, a witness tree, and the only remaining one left up on Culp's Hill. This has been the witness tree on Culp's Hill. On with our video series on witness trees. Today we're going to take a look at this swamp oak that sits here along the Fairfield Road. Now, in 1863, the Fairfield Road was known as the Hagerstown Road. And that road took you from Hagerstown, Maryland, which is in this direction here where the cars are coming toward our camera, into Gettysburg. And just at the top of the hill in Gettysburg was the site of the old Middletown Road, which we recently done a video series on. That road veered off to the left and took you into the middle of Gettysburg, thus the name Middletown Road, rather. Now, this may be one of the only witness trees on the west side of that road. And along the old Hagerstown Road, or today the Fairfield Road, in the immediate Gettysburg area. Now, to give you an idea of where this tree, the swamp oak, is, and by the way, this swamp oak isn't in the greatest of shape. It had a large branch that fell off in the winter of 2013 and 2014 as we were hit pretty hard with wet, heavy snow. The tree has been deteriorating. It's probably not going to be around that much longer. And as I did the Reynolds tree back in 2013, I want to cover this tree before its life is gone. If you remember last year, I did a video series on the witness trees that were around Reynolds Avenue, where John F. Reynolds was killed. And by the way, that position is just right over here. This is Reynolds Avenue that leads out from the Fairfield Road over to the Chambersburg Pike, and the Reynolds Death Spot Monument is just about where my finger is. So in relation to that, and of course after I did that video series, I did an update a few weeks later because the National Park Service had deemed one of the witness trees there unsafe and cut it down so it wouldn't fall across the road. This tree, also being in the same condition, does run the risk to, as you can see, power lines and of course oncoming traffic on Route 116. So I wanted to make sure that I covered this tree one last time before its demise. It is a swamp oak. It's around 200 years old, and this tree was a witness to the first day's fighting here on Seminary Ridge. It was passed by troops coming off of the Emanuel Harmon farm and the battle that took place there, and then here onto the Iron Brigade, and of course beyond here over to the Lutheran Theological Seminary. So this tree was a witness to a lot of that first day's history. It was also passed by most of the Confederate generals, since the Confederate generals had come from the Cashtown area and Fairfield areas into this direction, and then of course scraped through the town on July 2nd into the southern end of the town, and then of course on the third day, most high command of the Confederacy had one time passed not too far by this tree. So it does have some significance here in American history and during the Battle of Gettysburg. Again, continuing on our witness tree video series that we've been doing, I want to take a look at this around 200-year-old swamp oak tree that sits here along the Fairfield Road, which in 1863 was the Hagerstown Pike. This has been Secrets of the Battlefield, Witness Trees, the Hagerstown Road Witness Tree. We are looking at the General John Gibbon Witness Tree here on Hancock Avenue. This is probably one of the witness trees on the Gettysburg battlefield that is least known about, and yet it's in a prime spot. In fact, just in the distance behind here is the high water mark, and you can see the copse of trees here just in the distance. And just in this direction over here is the Pennsylvania Monument. So it sits here on this ground that was defended by troops under General John Gibbon here on July the 3rd, 1863. And it sits right across the Hancock Avenue from the battery of the Battery G of the 5th U.S. Artillery, 12-pound rifles under the command of Lieutenant Goling V. Wire, who was their commanding officer. Right across the street is the Gibbon Witness Tree, and this tree is about 160 years old, and it's in fairly decent shape. It is one of the smaller witness trees on the Gettysburg battlefield, so therefore people do tend to ride by here on their way to the high water mark and don't realize it's a witness tree. But this has been the Gibbon Witness Tree. Okay, we are on Confederate Avenue, and in front of us is the Philip Snyder House, and it's over here on Warfield Ridge. And today I want to fulfill a request that was requested a few months ago about the location of the Longstreet Witness Tree. Now, the Longstreet Witness Tree began growing around 1715, and finally in the year 2002 it was taken out by a storm, died, and it was cut down. And today you can come to the Gettysburg National Military Park, and they make ink pens and walking sticks and different items from the original tree. But the location that the tree sat at was just a few yards here in front of us. You have the Philip Snyder House here in the distance, and then against the wall you have a tree here, and then there's a walking path. And right here where the walking path meets the road, the only thing that's left here in this patch of ground is a little depression in the ground where the tree once sat, and I guess when it was taken out with the roots and all, there was a depression left in the road. But that was the spot that for well over 200, closer to 300 years, the Longstreet Witness Tree sat right here and stretched into the air. Now, in this particular area, you have the Philip Snyder House here, and of course we have the Alabama Monument here. That tree that sticks out here from the road is a witness tree that I did a video on earlier, as is one across the road that sits back in here. But the Longstreet tree at one time was one of the oldest trees on the Gettysburg National Military Park. As I stated earlier, it was began growing around 1715, and it died in 2002. So it had quite the lifespan here, and it sat here in the depression in the ground, right here at the base of this horse path, right here where you see this hole in the ground. This has been the Longstreet Witness Tree that once sat on Warfield Ridge. Okay, we're going to do another witness tree today, and I'm going to call this one the Reynolds Witness Tree, because it is not too far from the death of John F. Reynolds Monument, and the Edward McPherson Farm Barn over there in the distance. And if you go out here to the road, you're going to go by these two informational markers which are in the ground, and behind it is an oak tree, and this is another witness tree, another one of the last remaining witnesses to the Battle of Gettysburg. Still stands, however it is in pretty rough shape, and no one knows how much longer it's going to live. However, it is alive and well, and it does have one of the National Park Service markers on it that was put on there in the 1920s and 1930s. And you can see it right there. So again, this is another witness tree. There are a few large trees here. I'm going to be doing some more research. That tree right there looked pretty old. This one here that leans also did, however, I was unable to find any type of marker on it. However, it could have simply fell off. or have been taken. And then there's one in the distance over here that look pretty old. However, this one here still does have the Park Service tag on it. So that is another witness tree. I'm going to call it the Reynolds Witness Tree out here on the First Day Battlefield near the site of the death of John F. Reynolds. And just in the distance from the Edward McPherson farm barn. Alright folks, I am standing here on Reynolds Avenue. I'm doing an update video here on Reynolds Avenue. About a month ago I did a video about a witness tree, and just in the last couple days that witness tree has been cut down. I believe that the tree in my video I said wasn't in good health, and it appears that the tree had pretty much died. It looked like it was hollowed out pretty well, and it has now been lost. It's gone forever. And it's been taken down to this stump here. You can go back and review my video, Secrets of the Battlefield Witness Tree here on Reynolds Avenue, and see it just a month ago. But that tree apparently has died and has been removed. So that leaves 3 left. And I'm going to do this video today on Secrets of the Battlefield. This tree in front of us here is a witness tree, and it's one that remains, as is the one next to it. And then you have one over here in the distance that also doesn't look like it's in very good health at all. It's pretty rotted near the top. So it's unknown how long these 3 trees are going to remain standing, or if the park will cut them down. But apparently they decided to cut the one down that I did in my video about a month ago, which leaves these 3 trees. So you have the witness tree here that sits just to the left of where John Fulton Reynolds was killed. And then if you turn 90 degrees, there's the tree that kind of bends, comes off crooked, and the one sits right behind it. There's 3 witness trees. Now, the video that I'm doing today on Secrets of the Battlefield is regarding another monument. And as you drive up Reynolds Avenue, which is this road here in front of us, and I'm going to walk over toward the road. Usually when you're on a road in Gettysburg, the roads are designed to allow the person to see a monument from the road in their car. Here's Reynolds Woods sign. Behind it is a Reynolds witness tree. And if you're on this road, you can see the monument. Okay? As this monument 180 degrees behind us, you can see this monument. The monuments that are over here, as you ride up and down these roads, you can see the fronts of these monuments as you ride by in your car, as you can in most monuments throughout the Gettysburg battlefield. However, this one particular monument here in the distance is strange, because as you ride up Reynolds Avenue, you don't see the front of the monument, you see the back side of the monument. Okay? The right flank marker is over here, and the left flank marker is next to the car over here by these 3 trees. So when you're standing at this monument and you see left flank, right flank, the monument, you're looking at the back side of the monument. So the question is, why is this monument that's at the corner of Meredith and Reynolds backwards, when it seems like most of the park is designed to have you look at the monuments as you walk or drive by them? That's where the answer is, and that's where the secret of the battlefield comes in. Very early on in the Gettysburg National Military Park, as we now look at Reynolds Woods, at one time a small pike road was right here. And this road can be seen at certain times during the year, and you can make it out a little bit now by the slight depression in the ground. There was a road, a pike road, a dirt road, that actually sat here at one time and went right by the monument to the 151st Pennsylvania Infantry. And it went into the distance, very close to the John Reynolds Monument, and then in the distance, bended to the right, and comes out today, not too far from where that witness tree that was cut down was. So this is one of the secrets of the battlefield here. This is the old Pike Road that sat in front of Reynolds Woods that was taken out. And as they moved Meredith down here and connected it with Reynolds, the new Reynolds Avenue became the new road that would take you across Route 30 and over the railroad. And there are some spots here where you can still see the original roadbed from the road. Like right here, this is actually concrete. This is not dirt here. This is a concrete roadbed that's buried here under the grass. So this has been the secrets of the battlefield of Gettysburg out here at Reynolds Woods, regarding the one witness tree that's in my video a month ago that was apparently cut down within the last week or two, and the old Pike Road that sat here at one time in front of the 151st Pennsylvania Monument and went right by the Reynolds Death Monument here. That road being taken out, this monument probably gets a lot less attention than it ever did before, because at one time, to get to the Reynolds death spot, you had to pass the 151st Pennsylvania Monument. Now, everybody that comes to Gettysburg obviously is interested in John F. Reynolds, or in the distance, the McPherson barn, and they don't get to see the front of the monument with the three muskets. And just for reference, the 151st Pennsylvania fought here, just west of the Theological Seminary. And then in July 2nd, they were a reserve unit over on Cemetery Hill. And then on the third day, they actually participated in on the left center position and assisted in the repulse of Pickett's charge. So they definitely were not involved here at Gettysburg. They were actually very well involved on all 3 days. Yet their monument gets very little of attention because it sits backwards because of the old Pike Road that used to sit here being gone. This has been Secrets of the Battlefield, the old Pike Road out in front of Reynolds Woods, and the three remaining witness trees and the one that is now lost forever. Okay, we're going to talk a little bit about the Reynolds death spot witness trees, and I'm here at the monument that was dedicated in July 1886 to Major General John Fulton Reynolds, who was killed near this spot on July 1st, 1863. And please go back and watch my videos entitled Forward, For God's Sake Forward, parts 1 through 12, which will relate to this. Over here behind the monument is a large oak tree. And this oak tree is a witness tree to John Reynolds' death. It's one of a few witness trees that actually stand here today nearby. This tree is probably the closest tree to the spot where he was killed, which I believe is just in the distance there in the center of our screen where that flank marker is. Between that flank marker and, of course, the 1886 monument that was placed here. But this is a witness tree to the death of John F. Reynolds, as is a couple that are sitting over here. There's three more over here, and they are the three that are in the center of the screen. Now, one thing that the National Park Service did in the early 1900s was they tried to mark witness trees on the battlefield. And many visitors that come to Gettysburg today don't notice these small details or even know about them. This tree here that goes off on an angle is also a witness tree. And as we walk around, I want to point out something. Okay. This is another witness tree here. Now, on this witness tree, if you look very closely, you will see the 1920s and 30s ID tag that was actually nailed into that tree, marking it as a witness tree. This tree here is missing the tag, the one that's on the slant, But if you look in the center of the screen, you will see the nail that once held the tag. So you have the large tree over there. You have the one that goes on this angle here, the smaller one behind it. And then this tree here is also, these two rather trees here are also witness trees. And they do have the tags in them as well, though they're much higher up on the tree than the other ones were. And then just this year, another witness tree, which I actually have a video of it before it died and was cut down. This was a witness tree that finally died in 2013 and was cut down by the National Park Service. And ironically enough, a seed from the tree appears to have sprouted something inside. But these are the witness trees that were here and are still here today, and are probably the only living witnesses to the death of John F. Reynolds here on the morning of July 1st, 1863 in Herbst Woods. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then the large oak tree with the big roots sticking out of the ground, number 6 in the distance. These are the witness trees of the death spot of John F. Reynolds. I am here today near McMillan's Woods, and we're going to do a video on witness trees of Peagram's Battalion. Now, right across the street from this sign is the artillery of Zimmerman's artillery, or Zimmerman's battery, which was part of Peagram's battalion of artillery. And here in this area is actually the largest concentration of witness trees on the battlefield. Now, there's over 400 trees still left on the Gettysburg battlefield that were here during the Battle of Gettysburg. Yet not many people know about these trees or where they're at, or some of the secrets that they contain. Now, one of the secrets that they contain is actually that the Park Service had nailed dog tags, as you can see here, to a lot of these trees. As well as put lightning cables on the trees. And again, as we pass Peagram's Battalion marker here, you'll notice that a lot of these trees have the scarred marks from the lightning cables or the dog tags. This one particular witness tree here has both the dog tag D195 and the original lightning cable that goes up the side. And again, the witness trees right here in this area are all trees that were here during the Battle of Gettysburg. You have 1, 2, 3, 4. And this video here today that I'm shooting, I'm actually doing it with my cat, Creamsicle the battlefield cat, and he's here to help educate us all on witness trees. So, Cream, go ahead and tell Gettysburg Battlefield Facebook fans what you think about witness trees. Well, he seems to enjoy himself when he's out here on the battlefield. He's a very well-behaved kitty, and he doesn't run away. He's an amazing pet. So here I am with Creamsicle, the battlefield cat, here on this beautiful autumn day, and we're looking at the witness trees of Peagram's Battery Battalion. Okay, today we're going to do a special. This is going to be a witness tree here off Barlow's, or what is also known as Blotcher's Knoll. And right now I'm standing in the distance. You can see the crest of Barlow's Knoll here with the flagpole. To my left would be the old Harrisburg Road. I'm tucked back here in this corner. We're going to walk into the woods. Now, not many people do this or even know about this tree, but it's a huge tree that was here during the Battle of Gettysburg, and it still sits here for us today. So let's venture into the woods here. And this is the perfect time of the year to come out here and do this, because just in a couple more months this area is going to be strewn with stickers and ticks and overgrowth, and the winter is just ending, the spring is just beginning, and the new leaves and weeds and everything have not come out yet, so it's a perfect time of year. And it sits here right in front of us. This is a huge tree. It must be 85 or 95 feet high. And at its base, it is hollowed out. The last time I was here, yeah, you can see how it's hollowed inside. But this is a monstrous tree. It's got to be 15 to 20 feet around in diameter at its base. And you can see the hollowing over here. But this tree was here and was a witness to the actions of July 1st, 1863. You know, when Confederate troops clashed with Oliver Otis Howard's 11th Corps here at Barlow's Knoll, and then they would drive those troops back through the town of Gettysburg. And this is one of the beautiful reminders of that battle, a real live witness tree from the Battle of Gettysburg. A lot of these old trees had people that knew that they were here during the battle. They would come and they would put lightning rods or ID tags. And when I was here last week, I had noticed this barbed wire stuck in the tree for some reason. I don't know if it was used as a lightning cable or if this tree one time was maybe used as a fence post, but it's all over the base of the tree around the same area. And again, if you do venture out here, this is the time to do it, because just in a couple months, this whole area is going to be overgrown. And while I'm here, I'd like to show you another witness tree that's here. And again, these are not real well known about because of the area that they're in, but this one here, though not as large, is also a witness to the Battle of Gettysburg. And it's probably 12 feet in diameter. These are beautiful trees. I've been out here when in the middle of the summer when it's all overgrown with the ticks and the snakes and etc. And they really put out a good show when it comes to their leaves. But today's specials, we're taking a video of two witness trees that were here during the Battle of Gettysburg. That one here, and then the larger one in the distance that we just took a look at. And these were sat between the Blocher farm, the Josiah Benner farm, which is over there, the George Weissmental farm, which is over there, and then of course in the distance, if you go into the clearing here, you can see the crest of Barlow's Knoll and the flagpole sitting there in the distance. This has been Secrets of the Battlefield Witness Trees here on Gettysburg Battlefield Facebook.